Can somebody explain to me how Thurmond, a ghost town that has no population, has full cell phone bars on AT&T, but in Branchland, Cody's hometown, I literally have nothing. And people live there. Welcome to the final episode of Before the Bomb. This has been a really fun series for us to make. You know, we tried to jam-pack as much things West Virginia and Fallout into these 5 episodes, or at least as much as we can fit in the weekend before the game came out. But I think this last episode is probably the coolest thing we got to do for the entire series.
It's so cool. We explored a ghost town. If you guys don't know, West Virginia is littered with ghost towns. They popped up during the 1920s whenever the coal boom happened, and there would be these little communities surrounding a mine, but when the mine closed down, sort of everybody would pack up shop and leave.
And it is sad to see this because in their heyday, these communities were diverse, vibrant communities. Each had its own unique culture, and now if you go there, it's just rotted wood.
Yeah, so we got to explore at least a little bit, and that's what we're going to show you in this final episode.
But while we were driving, we stumbled across this beautiful waterfall. It's amazing, and it shows you just what kind of sheer beauty is in West Virginia. And if we fell in there, we would absolutely die.
Know why Amtrak is failing, it's because they literally have stops in ghost towns. Oh, yeah, that's falling through. In the Fallout games, rain is irradiated and definitely kills you. So I think we will definitely die today if this was Fallout. It's pretty close though. If you do need an idea of the actual scope and scale of this town, that's the town hall.
Okay everybody, so at this point in the show you might be wondering where our good friend Nathan is. Well sadly, some people have to work, and Nathan's one of those people. He couldn't come because of, you know, paying bills. So here's what we did.
Yeah, we basically gave him a camera crew and no travel budget and said make something. So Nathan made something, right? You made anything? Okay.
Yeah. West Virginia things that probably aren't in Fallout 76, but they definitely should be. Solder children. 5 children go missing Christmas Day in a house fire. No one knows where they went. 1945, I think. Have their ghosts be there somewhere. Philippine mummies. Farmer decides he wants to figure out his own mummification technique, so he goes to a hospital, buys a couple bodies, mummifies them, tour the world in the circus, but now if you go to the Historical Society in Barber County, you can pay $1, you can see them, it funds their library. Monkey graveyard near White Sulphur Springs. Circus train goes into a tunnel, breaks down in the train tunnel. The circus monkeys die. They gotta bury them somewhere. Once the train gets out of the tunnel, they bury them there. No one knows where the graveyard is now though, but you gotta have those monkeys. My friend Lucy's grandma once ran over her foot with a lawnmower, and that's why Lucy never learned how to use a lawnmower. But I want to be able to find some disembodied toes just lying around. John Henry, folk hero, steel driving man. He beat the steel machine at the Big Bend Tunnel in Talcott, West Virginia. Have the statue there, have a giant hammer there, just to make the man's presence known. Greenbrier ghost. Woman dies. First the husband is cleared, it's thought to be natural causes, but then the mother claims that the dead woman visited her in her sleep, says that the husband did it, so it ends up going to trial. She does a testimony. First and only time a ghost testimony has been accepted in court. Husband ended up going to death row. Weston State Hospital, 1800s mental hospital. It's just scary. Lastly, the mystery hole near Hawk's Nest. Go ahead and Google that. Make sure though you type in mystery hole West Virginia and make sure your safe search is on. Find some weird stuff if it's not.
If there's one thing making this series has taught me, is if there's any cool abandoned structures anywhere in the world, teens will write cuss words on them. We first thought this was a Fallout monster, but it just says Wario, which is not the right game. The disappointing part is if this was Fallout, like littered in this building, there should be like boxes of random food, bobbleheads, gnomes, but instead there's just leaves and the weirdly lingering smell of urine. We looked up, there are 6 people who live in the town. Fun fact, 5 of them were elected to public office. What did the 6th guy do? Yeah, I guess there's always one libertarian. Everybody hates Brad, and Brad can't be the sheriff anymore. These roads are very narrow.
Yeah, they're pretty small.
I was just thinking, like, what happens if, like, you have to leave and somebody else is leaving at the same time? Like, there's no way 2 cars can fit on.
Dude, there's 5 people that live in this town. There's like 3 cars. You just be like, hey bud, I'm gonna call you up. I'm leaving at 4:15. Give me the full 20 minutes to get out of here. You know how scared the missus is.
Hey. So at this point in the episode, you might be wondering where Cody is. Well, Cody had to work the camera, so he didn't really get to be in the episode either. But you know what? We gave Cody a camera crew and no travel budget.
So basically what happened is I found out that one of my old political science professors at Marshall studies video games now, and I was like, we gotta take advantage of this. So I called up Dr. Jess Morset, who is honestly a super cool dude. He's one of the most knowledgeable people I know, great teacher, and he was kind enough to sit down and talk about his studies of video games, West Virginia, and all things pop culture related. So let's check it out. Okay guys, again we're here with Dr. Jess Morset, professor of political science at Marshall University, and expert of all things video game and pop culture. While we were in these places, it's like it felt a lot more like maybe we're already in a Fallout game. Like, do you think that it's fair to say that there are places in West Virginia where people have already sort of experienced that, like, lawless abandon by like the rest of society?
I think that's absolutely the case. I think you see that through a lot of Appalachia. I think as the coal industry began to transform, as coal began to run out, as the nature of the industry changed, a lot of these communities got left behind. Some continue on and have found new ways for people to make a living and scratch out an existence. Others have largely been abandoned. This is the case, as I said, throughout the region.
This is definitely a room where somebody has used drugs before. This is definitely a room where somebody working on the coal mines, as they started to close down, they've had an emotional breakdown alone to themselves in this room. This is definitely a room where teens had sex. But that was only after it was abandoned. At least I hope. I know we kind of joked about just coming here and making like Fallout jokes about abandoned towns, but like, it's spooky and sad.
Do you think that like there is a way to bring some vitality back to not necessarily ghost towns, but the area in general?
I think there's potential to bring back some of that economic activity. Whether it's tourism, it's something West Virginia's focused on a lot in recent years. Whether it's finding new industries, transitioning toward other aspects of the energy sector, perhaps that don't rely as much on fossil fuels and non-renewable resources, and that maybe have a more positive carbon footprint element to them. So in that regard, that potential exists, but West Virginia as a state faces a lot of roadblocks in its way, and it's not something that can happen overnight. I think Bethesda's definitely done their homework, and that, as a professor, fills me with some hope. When I see such hyper-local landmarks in the game, when I can visit Camden Park, when the Cerrito Pumpkin House is represented in this virtual space, it tells me they've done the work to get to know West Virginia, and in doing so, it makes me hope that they won't fall into the traps of painting West Virginia, and by extension West Virginians, with a very stereotypical brush. So in that sense, yeah, I'm hopeful.
Being here in a weird way really does feel like a Fallout game. Like, and it didn't take an apocalypse to make that happen. It just took a failing economy, maybe people not caring. And maybe the fact that 5 to 6 people still live here speaks to some West Virginia resilience. about people willing to stick it out in the worst situations, or maybe stick it out when they shouldn't anymore. But when we're walking around in the game and fighting monsters, like we were in towns just like this, probably modeled literally off of this town. So when you're playing the game, just remember West Virginia is more than monsters. It is somebody's home.
Okay, so I don't know if you can tell right now, the rain is getting worse. We're going home. Nathan, I'm sorry you had to miss this one because you have work and everything, but you're probably going to be the only survivor. Congratulations, enjoying your Travel Channel original show. Hey, thanks for watching. If you watched every episode, or if you watched one episode, whatever, we're just glad to have you. We worked really, really hard on this, and now I can take a little breather and get back to doing what I love, and that's pretending I'm Daniel Bryan.
My biggest takeaway from filming Before the Bomb is a deeper understanding of why West Virginia is such a perfect setting for a Fallout game.
I haven't slept, like, at all since we started filming this series. And it's done.